Well, like I told you, I'm now to bring in my two panelists this afternoon, and we have with us Kenneth Gishinga, an economist. Seated next to him is Cyrus Othiego, who is the country manager for Jumuiya, just to assess how Kenya has continued to perform in light of the elections, and has it had any impact on businesses, and what way forward on matters to do with the devolution. And let me just start off with Cyrus. Perhaps we've seen a lot of talk of hoteliers saying tourism has been doing well, and this is one of the indications that perhaps we didn't experience a lot of turmoil after the elections.
Thank you, first, Abby, for having me. What we've seen in the recent past is that we expected to see a big drop in terms of the number of bookings, hotel bookings through our website. What we've seen in the past week during election, we saw around 40% drop compared to what we expected, which could be around 50% drop. We appreciate that this has happened, but what has gone on after that week, we've seen business going slightly back to normal. Right. So as long as we remain peaceful, we'll continue seeing business going back to normal.
All right. And Ken, we've seen a number of governors being sworn in various counties. And what's your take on what will be on the in-trays of these governors as we look forward to them executing the devolution agenda?
Also, thanks for having me. What I'd like to say is I think the first 100 days for each of the governors will be an opportunity for them to showcase their flagship project. I think last time a lot of governors had too many projects going on, and there was a lack of a clear-cut focus. So I think this time round, and you could see maybe there's some consultants behind the scenes, every governor is talking about my first 100 days, I want to have this flagship project up and running. The wage bill in some of the counties, apparently it's too high, and I don't know if they are treating that in the right way legally by offsetting so many people. But I think a lot of people are hoping for a departure from the past and sort of hoping that we'll be more strategic in how we approach devolution. Yeah.
You mentioned something interesting, flagship projects. And of course, Cyrus, tourism is not located in Nairobi per se. It is cut through the counties. Perhaps what sort of activities should we be seeing in the coming months after this election event is done and dusted?
What has been really important is the adoption of the online culture of booking. We've seen more people who are booking online. This is the culture which has improved the regional tourism. As we speak today, we have more people are traveling within the country. Actually, 60% of the travelers who are booking through our system are booking from within East Africa. So this means the inclusion of the Africans in the travel sector, which was believed to be the traditional market for the people who are coming from Europe and America, has really improved the tourism sector in this region. So what we really need to do, we need to come back home and try to entice the Kenyans first to travel before we go out to our traditional market. This is what we really need to do as a country.
All right. And of course, Ken, looking at this interesting place where the economy is, there's a lot of big talk that will hit 6% growth.
Right.
And what do you think will drive this now that eventually things will settle down?
Obviously, there's investor confidence in this economy. I've always said that Kenya is one of the most resilient economies in the region. And what we know is the second half of the year is always more activity-packed than the first half. So even though we had a drought in the first half and we had the election uncertainty, I expect to see, barring any unexpected shocks, I expect to see increase in tourism, as we've had, increase in real estate. A lot of the money that had been sort of like put aside to see how the elections will unfold, I think this is a time that is going to be unlocked, and I think we're going to see a lot more confidence in the country. Yeah.
And there's been a slowdown sort of in the construction sector. What do you feel is the reason behind this?
Well, first of all, the interest rate cap that was passed last year affected every segment of the economy. So inability of people to access mortgages meant that demand was stifled. And I think the first order of business for this new parliament is really to discuss whether that interest rate cap is meeting its full objectives. Then there's also the issue of the oversupply. There's a huge oversupply of especially apartments in the higher ends of the market. So I think there's an essence that the market needs to correct before we can sort of like see an uptick, but I'm still very optimistic on that sector.
Indeed. And Cyrus, one of the other big conversations around tourism is joint marketing, where counties can be able to work together to ensure they tap into various customers. Perhaps what sort of strategies should we look at now as governors sit down to draft their plans and draft their strategies?
Exactly. On that specific point, we have very good kind of attraction points within the counties. And to be very sincere, not all of them have been put up on the advertisement media. Today, we focus much more on our traditional attraction features. For example, you talk of the Kenya coast, you talk of Masai Mara, and then you talk of Nairobi National Park. When we look at other destinations like Turkana, for example, there are a number of things which people can still do in Turkana when you move to Lake Turkana. So these are some of the destinations which are very popular in our country, but they have not been showcased because of the infrastructure first. For example, if today you want to travel to the northeastern part of the country, it takes you longer. Let me come closer to a few kilometers from Nairobi. If you want to travel to Masai Mara, if you want to go to Masai Mara using your own car, you will start very well from Nairobi to Narok. From Narok to Masai Mara, it takes you another 6 to 7 hours together. So there are a number of things which can be done in terms of infrastructure, improving also the internet connection in some locations in these counties, which can enhance and openness, such that amount of people can share more information about these destinations.
All right. And Ken, perhaps to get to your closing thoughts, what way forward in terms of driving and ensuring we continue to stimulate economic growth for the country?
It's all about confidence, and people ask, how do you inspire investor confidence? It's about tax incentives, it's about stability, it's about property rights, it's all the issues that we know attract investors. So if the national government, which needs to work very closely now with the county government in this iteration of devolution, if they can bring that together, I think we expect to see a lot of investment coming in, because FDI in 2010 was about $150 million. Right now it's over $1 billion. So there's still big appetite for Kenyan assets. But the question is, will this new crop of governors sort of like try and get the acts together very quickly, or will we see sort of like the heated exchanges that we saw in the past? So I think right now investors are looking at that and they're taking a view that Kenya could possibly be on the path to being a constitutional democracy, which is what we all want to see.
Fantastic. Yeah. Always a pleasure speaking to you, Ken and Cyrus. And of course, we continue to keep our focus really on how the economy performs in the coming days. That